Hey everyone, today's guest is Steffney Loganbill. She started as the third employee at OrthoChat and now serves as Ruby's partner development manager for the orthodontic industry. She attended the University of Missouri, where she earned a Bachelor of Science degree. Steffney has led lectures and presented to groups with over 200 plus attendees. Nothing thrills her more than engaging clients with educational and enjoyable topics and materials that will help grow their businesses. Welcome to OrthoThrive, Steffney.
Thank you. Nothing makes you cringe than hearing someone read your own bio to you.
Yeah, I can only imagine. All right,
so thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. How is Ruby related to OrthoChat? That is one of the top questions I get because we get people asking us that because we wrote a blog about you a while ago.
Yes, this is a great question. So back at the start of 2019, Ruby acquired OrthoChats. So OrthoChats was just over 3 years old, very well known within the orthodontic community. And then this just kind of happened. It was a very natural progression for our company. And I think it was just kind of a shock to everyone because we went from OrthoChats to pretty much Ruby. And a lot of folks were confused by that transition. So I'm glad to be able to talk to everyone and say we are the same group. The same employees that work for OrthoChats are working with Ruby. We just have a brand new name, and with that new name comes a lot of amazing new features and capabilities as an organization as well.
Oh, so it's the same employees. A lot of the same people are answering the phone now. Oh,
yeah, exactly. Or doing the chats. Yeah.
So what was it like being the third employee back in the day, starting all of this up?
So as you stated, I was a biology major and I had never stepped foot into an orthodontist office. I was accepted to veterinary school, went to veterinary school for a semester before I left. Mm-hmm. And I met Scott Hansen, the originator and creator of OrthoChats back in the day, just through a friend of a friend. And I stepped foot into the orthodontic office. The OrthoChats office was placed in the annex of that office. We could barely fit 3 desks in there.
Yeah.
And I will never forget those days where we were just truly down in the trenches. It was to the point where we had all of our clients written on a little piece of paper. And every time I did a chat and got a lead, I would stand up, go over and make a tally mark for every time we got a lead for a client.
Okay.
Things have drastically changed. We obviously can't do that. We now have over 10,000 clients, and that would just obviously not be scalable. Mm-hmm. But those 3 years with OrthoChats, the growth was exponential. I've never experienced something like that in my life. I think that learning from Scott, our CEO, and Trevor Flanagan, our COO at the time, and how they managed a business and operation and created something that soon became a very well-known name in the ortho industry in a short amount of time was a blessing to me as an employee and someone who looked up to them. And I will just treasure the time of sitting at the office managing what I used to take was up to 9 chats at a time, where it was on 2 completely separate screens, 9 different chat conversations. And now our chat specialists do 2 at a time. So much more manageable, and just seeing it scale and grow from just doing chat to then doing call connecting, where we would get a lead, call that lead, get them on the phone, and then transfer them through to the practice so they could get scheduled for that consult, and then going into a sales position and getting to meet so many doctors at that point, and then learning about Ruby and this awesome change that was going to be happening where we can now do 24/7 reception services and they're live just like us. I think that was the coolest thing, about being acquired by a company that has morals and values in place that are very similar to what you had. It made the acquisition in that sense so smooth for our employees because of how Ruby treats their employees and how they treat their business and how they treat their clients. We always want to make moments matter, and I think that is where the beautiful synergy of bringing the 2 companies together just came together to make something amazing.
Oh, that's awesome. So do you know how long Ruby has been around? How old of a company?
Yeah, so Ruby is 16 plus years old, very well established. Mm-hmm. Based out of Portland, Oregon. And they started as a startup just like us, which is crazy to believe. And their growth has just been insane because they targeted their reception business for small business owners who are in the greatest needs of employees to answer their phones when they don't have the time to answer it themselves because they're trying to grow their own business. So Ruby was able to provide a circumstance where they could have what felt like a real employee that was just virtual, that still knew their business and could support their business without the cost of a true employee.
And OrthoChat didn't always have the live receptionist when you first started, right? That was sort of a brainstorm that you realized people wanted. So that's great that Ruby does.
Right. OrthoChats, we were just a chat operation. We did call connecting as a part of it, but we had never had a reception service at all.
Interesting. Oh, you never had a reception service at all? I didn't know that. It's just connections.
Yeah.
So why do you think live chat rather than a bot is so important during all this pandemic and everything that's going on?
I mean, I don't know about you, but I think my dog is getting tired of me talking to him. I just need that person interaction. And I think now more than ever, when folks are having to lean on technology, the time I spend on my phone used to be maybe 3 hours a day. I hate to admit it, but now it's 10 hours a day that I'm on my phone. And I think that that's going to become the regular as we go through this time where people are relying on technology. And as such, our efforts to help doctors right now is to be that bridge of communication where someone can lean on technology but still interact with a live human being that is, someone who understands the industry and trained to sound like they are your treatment coordinator. When someone goes to your website on their phone, which is more often than not, and a chat pops up, kind of the first thought is this has got to be a bot. But as they talk to us about their concerns, especially thinking about the time right now, cost is always a concern when it comes to orthodontic treatment, but now it's really going to be a concern. People are going to be extremely concerned about how they can make these payments and what is going to be a priority now for those families. And being able to talk to a real person and voice those concerns rather than talking to a bot, that level of empathy within your communication line, I think is going to be a huge factor that's going to separate you from your competition.
That makes sense. A bot just can't really offer those answers to those questions, at least not in a real way. Okay. So what have you guys made? What changes have you made to ensure the safety of your employees while still keeping that service where it needs to be, the level of service?
I have to give the largest of kudos to our entire team that were decision makers in the steps to take once COVID was reaching the threat level that we had to start considering next steps. In particular, our CEO, Kate Winkler, of a company with 600 plus employees, she is sending out emails, she's sending out videos, she's sending out messages just to make sure we're okay, but also to keep the line of communication open from the top of the chain to literally everyone in the company. We started a work from home mandate the first week of March. And so I've been sheltered in place since the beginning of March. And
so you guys are in a groove now. It's been 5 weeks of this.
Yeah, exactly. But every single person has the opportunity to work from home. Within that first week, we had to work out all of the tech issues we might have. I have to give another shout out to our IT team, who was just amazing at making sure that receptionists who rely on our software and chat specialists who also rely on our software were able to get the access that they need at home. And now we're happy to boast that anyone who can work from home is working from home.
Gotcha. That's great. Especially your type of business, I think it really works for a chat business.
Yeah, honestly, it's
you guys are virtual now,
it's such a blessing because it's become something that's inevitable. You need that virtual assistance, and it's just such a blessing to keep all of our staff employed and have that virtual capability and make sure that we're able to take care of a lot of businesses who need that virtual assistance at this time.
So a lot of orthodontists are kind of starting to offer virtual consultations since their offices are closed. How do they take place in chat? Do they take place over chat? What do you think? So
it would be kind of like comparing apples to oranges, comparing a treatment coordinator to a doctor. And that's how I've always kind of likened our chat feature to a treatment coordinator. Yeah. Someone comes to the website, they've got questions. We're going to answer those questions as long as they're not technical questions. We are HIPAA compliant.
Yep.
And having them go to a virtual consult, it's the same kind of a scenario where someone will come to your website. They may not automatically be ready to commit to a virtual consultation. They still have questions, concerns. Can I afford this? What's the timeline going to look like considering this whole pandemic situation? How often can my child actually be seen by the specialist? These are questions that are going to be rattling around in their brain. They're not always going to be ready to commit. I think virtual consults are amazing. It does break down a barrier for the patient or the parent to the doctor, and it makes that communication line that much easier. But it's so different. I can't compare a treatment coordinator to a doctor.
Yeah, I've been preaching the last couple of weeks. You really, all this digital capability that we have nowadays, it really is, you really just are trying to create a relationship with your potential patient, and things like chat help you do that, because a lot of people, they're not ready to make that commitment to give you a call even, or just schedule that consultation. They're still learning or in that research phase.
Yeah.
So it's great that you have someone on the other end of the line that can answer some of these questions. Mm-hmm. How does the training work with your receptionist? How do we know the receptionist can answer the way a practice wants a treatment coordinator to answer the phone, and not kind of make sure that branding is not getting affected, et cetera?
Yes. Everything needs to be customized, and that's been our way since day one when we were OrthoChats. Everyone has a unique profile, a unique account. So when we get started in particular and we start drafting your scripting, we want scripting to be organic. We don't want it to just sound like a bot where we're just spewing out answers to everything. So we will talk to the practice and we'll send them a survey with open-ended questions. What kind of treatments do you offer? Do you accept Medicaid? What are some fun facts about the doctor, facts about the staff, so that whenever someone's interested in a treatment, we can say, well, you couldn't have chosen a better place because of X, Y, Z. So we can have all those answers and still make the conversation feel very organic, but have the knowledge base of this is exactly what's offered at this business. This is how they want us to promote them to their patients. So we can match your marketing, your branding, your storyboard that you created for your business. We can make sure it's all very synergistic. And we have people all the time, a lot of our clients will tell us that a patient came in and asked to speak with Steffney because they chatted with her yesterday, and she was so nice, and yada, yada, yada. Cool. Think you're talking to someone in the practice, which is the best compliment we could possibly receive.
Absolutely. I wonder sometimes the way y'all answer the phone is maybe even more professional than the office, if they're a new office or something.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. You know, we have something that's called the Ruby tone, and that's something that we train our call connectors as well as our receptionists, that they have to be cheerful. They have to have a clear tone. They have to be a voice that's going to sound inviting, because that's extremely important. I've talked to so many doctors that are like, oh, you mean they're not going to answer the phone and say hello? I'm like, no, of course not. This is not an answering service. This is not a tired mom who just came in because her kids were late to school. And it's going to be a professional who's seated and ready to take a call within their shift time.
Awesome. All right. So how do you think COVID is going to change the way orthodontists do business going forward?
Technology, I think, is going to be the key to everything right now. I think making sure that they're marketing themselves correctly is going to be the first step. Understanding what kind of technology and what features and what services are really speaking to their audience. Those are going to be the key steps moving forward. Whenever I think about, especially from the patient perspective, moving forward after COVID, they're going to be extremely used to digital communication. And you've got to be on that same page. At this point, communication, I think, is going to start evolving faster than ever, because we're going to start finding better and smarter ways to interact with patients. And there's going to be a lot of really smart people out there making a lot of big changes. I know we've got a lot of changes to our services rolling out in the next couple of quarters. And it's all in an effort to make sure that we're staying in front of the curve and we're providing that level of tech service that patients are going to be expecting. And I think that is the biggest thing looking forward is, are you ready for the kind of technology patients are going to be expecting?
Yeah, I remember we've been using Zoom for probably 5 years. And I would say more than half the time, if I have someone to Zoom with me, I'll wait for, time for the appointment will come, and I'll wait for about 5 minutes. oh, what's going on? Nothing's happened. And you're like, do they know what's supposed to be happening right now? And I give them a call and like, hey, are you okay? Are we still meeting? Yeah, I'm just trying to get this Zoom figured out. I'm like,
Yep.
oh, but now, I mean, I've been doing Zoom meetings every day. It's like instantaneous. Like everyone knows how to use it. It's like in everyone's comfort zone. It's normal now.
Yeah, exactly.
Great for me because this is what I'm used to already. So, oh, good. You're communicating the way I wanted to anyway. Perfect. All right. So why does having a virtual receptionist instead of an in-office receptionist make sense now or later?
And this is a hard conversation to have. I know a lot of businesses have made extremely difficult decisions to have to furlough or let go employees in this time. And it's hard. It's heartbreaking. I know my fiance, he works for a physical therapy group, and they furloughed over half of their employees. And it's hard, but at the same time, it's still business as usual. So it's weird as we're attempting to adjust to this new normal, to try and figure out how we can still provide the same level of service and quality, but with a smaller team. And that's where, with the greatest empathy I can possibly express, that's where Ruby really wants to try and come in and fill a need for a lot of these businesses that are missing their employees and are missing that connection. It's hard not just for the staff, but also for patients, because they're so used to your team. They're so used to having someone that they know and they trust that knows their treatment, and suddenly that's just not available anymore. So by having a live receptionist, and we're live 24/7, 365, and it's always our staff in Kansas City or in Portland, by having that staff member that has your account and your information, so that can talk to patients and at least make them feel like they've been heard and they're talking to someone that's working for the business. I think that line of communication, it will provide an extra level of service that is otherwise missing at this time. Getting through to a voicemail or even an answering service, it's frustrating. A lot of times you just want answers, or you just want to voice your concerns. And having someone that can answer even your COVID questions for patients is going to be an extra level of customer service to your business.
Yeah, I agree. We go over once a month, we go over metrics with our clients, and one of the metrics is missed calls. So when I start seeing those missed calls creep up, we can see what day they were missed, what hour they were missed, etc. And you'll see it. It'll be a Friday, it'll be a Saturday, it'll be a Sunday, and like, y'all aren't open those days.
Yeah.
People are asking for help. What can we do to help with this situation? Because, maybe it's 5, maybe it's 10, but there are a certain number of starts that didn't happen that year because you missed that call, and you have no idea because they just went on to someone else who answered the phone.
Yeah.
So I do think that 24-hour service can be very helpful.
Yeah.
So what do you think people's expectations regarding chat are?
I think they are all over the place, and I can say that from experience.
Yeah. All right.
From the point of a chat specialist, which I was our first chat specialist, to being a salesperson, hearing the expectations for chat, both from the doctor and from patients. I think on the doctor's end, you want professionalism, you want us to know your practice, and you want us to generate leads. That's the biggest thing, is you want those missed leads that are coming and hitting your website and then leaving without making a decision. You want to stop that churn. From a patient's perspective, whenever they chat in with a specialist, it could be a myriad of things. They may expect to make an appointment. They may expect to just ask some generic questions about scheduling a consultation, questions about making a payment, questions about directions, things that are blatantly on the website.
Yes, that's what I was just thinking. Wait a minute, I put that on my clients' websites. Okay.
It's honestly, they may ask you for your phone number, and it's bright red flashing in the top right-hand corner.
Wow.
But even still, they still like to chat with us. And I think it is just that group of patients that you have that just want to interact with a person. We have patients that chat in and ask, I'm out of rubber bands. My kid's out of rubber bands. What do I do? The same kind of questions you get in voicemails, regular day-to-day calls, your emails. Those are the same questions that patients ask us. So when we send over the FAQ, once we get the service started, you will more than likely already have an answer to all of this because you'll have that scripting in place for your own employees.
Oh, that makes sense. Oh, yeah. So anything you're just going to normally talk to a person about will be on chat somewhere.
Yeah.
So why is it so important to have several ways for patients and leads to contact the office? What is the real purpose for that from your point of view?
I mean, I'm one of those people, if I want an answer, I'm going to figure out every way to get an answer. For example, my apartment complex, I was curious about, monthly payments for rent right now. What's going to be happening? I gave them a call. No one answered. I left a voicemail. I waited a few hours. No one called me back. I sent them an email. No one responded. I tried to go downstairs. The office is closed. So I am just always trying to find a different avenue of communication. Some people don't like to chat. They only want to call. So having a live receptionist as well as a chat feature might be useful. Other people are going to be on their phone and they'll want to click into the chat on their phone and ask their questions and get a question answered through that avenue. So I think the more technology based rows of communication you have, the better for patients as we're really trying to explore this new normal and find out what's going to be the best way of communicating with patients.
So you really just want to have every road open that's possible depending on people's preferences. Yeah, that makes sense. Because I know people that just hate being on the phone, and I know I personally am not loving texting very much, like people to call me, but
yeah.
Then again, some days I'm doing work and it's nice to just get a text because I don't have time to get on the phone. So I get that. All right. So what do you think makes Ruby different than your competitors?
I think it's just the empathy, because we do have those live employees and the opportunity to engage with people with custom scripting that you can update at any time and really make it feel natural and organic. You get a new doctor added to your practice, great. Tell us about that doctor so we can brag about them to the patients. You change your COVID frequently asked questions. Just let your customer happiness member know, and we're going to get that changed for you the same day. We aim to have a line of communication direct for all of our clients. I said earlier, we have a very large client base, but everyone has their own customer happiness member that they can reach out to directly and get things changed whenever they need to. And I know, just speaking from my personal experience, starting with OrthoChats from day one, the number one thing that we wanted to do to differentiate ourselves was provide a level of service that was just unparalleled in our understanding of the industry and how we speak to patients and how we adapt over time with our technology. All of that is going to be something that's at the cusp of what we're thinking. And again, I can't spill the beans on anything that's going to be coming down the pipeline, but in these coming quarters, the technology updates that we have coming along, it's going to answer a lot of questions. And it's going to provide another level of service that we've heard asked for from our many clients. And I think just providing that empathy and genuinely caring about the growth of our clients is the number one thing. As long as they grow, we grow.
Absolutely. So how can orthodontists get started, learn more about Ruby if they want to?
Yes, so if you'd like to get started, the best number to give a buzz is 844-311-RUBY, RUBY. Again, 844-311-RUBY. You can also visit our website, just ruby.com. There's a lot of cool ways for you to test the service on there, as well as watch our most frequently updated commercial, which I love.
Oh yeah, I really liked your explainer video. I need to ask you later.
It's so cute, so catchy. But the number one thing is when you call or if you email, the email is just partners@ruby.com. If you email, call, or go to the website, mention the promo code OrthoSalesEngine, and that will give you $50 off your first 3 months of service. If you want to try out the chat service and reception service, we are doing a bundled special. You'll get 5% off for that bundled, for those bundled services. Yeah. And then you'll also get a 21-day money-back guarantee on both services. So that's our offer for you guys. Again, just mention the promo code OrthoSalesEngine. I did see someone, Misty, asked a question really quick. She said, does Ruby plan to add virtual consultations in the future, or will I also need a virtual consultation provider? So when it comes to virtual consults, it's a separate software. Again, it's like having your treatment coordinator and then your orthodontist as a software, essentially. So we're going to be your treatment coordinator. We're going to qualify those leads from the website, and then you will need a virtual consult software so that the doctor can then have that call with the patient and have that consult with them.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to explain it. It really is like having two different virtual employees at the office. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Is there anything else you want to share?
Not that I can think of. Again, if you guys have questions, please feel free to reach out to us. If you have specific questions for me, unfortunately, my name is kind of a nightmare to spell, but my email is Steffney, spelled Steffney .Loganbill, spelled Logan, be like boy, ILL, @ruby.com. If you feel like asking me some direct questions, please feel free to do so. If you have more so questions geared towards sales, like if you're interested in the services, please use our partners at Ruby email or give us a buzz at that 844-311 Ruby line.
Okay. Misty was asking, are you able to answer any questions about virtual consultations? I guess really just your opinion on how it should be used.
Yeah. So again, I think virtual consults are a great tool. I think that understanding the software that's available is going to be the number one priority for you, making sure it's something that's user-friendly for your staff and for your doctor. I know that there's a lot of different platforms out there, and I think, again, it is a great opportunity. It breaks down a barrier for a patient to actually speak to you without having to drive in or get concerned about going out in public. I know here in Missouri and in Kansas, we can't leave now without having our mouths covered, and just making sure that step is a little bit easier in the times of these heavier pandemic months. I think down the line, it's going to get to be a lot easier for us, but as we're really hitting the trenches right now and really trying to figure out our day-to-day lives, I think virtual consults are a great option to provide for patients. I think the more options you can provide to patients, the better.
Absolutely. I totally agree. The more places to communicate, the more ways to communicate with the office, the better.
So if you want to reach out to Ruby, your customer happiness member, and just state, this is how someone can log in for their virtual consult. These are the frequently asked questions for the virtual consult. All of that can be added to your scripting, both for reception services and for the chat service.
Yeah, so the question was basically, if someone chats and saying, hey, I want to do this virtual consultation, can you show me how to use it? The practice can provide you the script, whatever they want you to have the answer be, and you guys can still help that person over chat, like almost like an IT line.
Yeah, exactly. I was just about to say, I can't tell you how many times we provided IT help to people who can't find Patient Hub on their website.
Patient Hub, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so we can definitely provide that. I know it's not always easy for folks to get that figured out, especially when it's new.
Yeah, that's really how I first remember using chat was, at GoDaddy, I think, is when I first used chat, because of what I'm doing. Can you help me about all the 15, 20 years ago? Jeez.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. Everyone, if you forget how to spell Steffney's name, just go to orthothrive.com. We'll have her right there, and we'll get the recap email tonight. So thank you so much for being on. We really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you guys so much for having me. Stay safe and healthy, everyone.
You too. Okay.
Bye.